In this video today I'm going to be showing you how to make a fully functioning door using blueprint interfaces, no casting and line traces. Let's get started. Okay, so here we are in the third person character template. I'm going to open up the content folder, right click, blueprint, actor, and we're going to name this BP_door. Okay, once we have that, we're just going to open up the BP door. And let's add a static mesh, and the static mesh is going to be a door. So search static mesh. I'm going to rename this one door or door base, and we're just going to search door in the in the static mesh component. Here we are. Now we drag it into the map, and now we have our BP door in the map, but it has zero functionality. So what do we need to do? We need to create a blueprint interface, so BPI_interact, because we are going to be using this to communicate between the door and the player. So just rename this function in the top right, interact. Right, so I'm adding this post editing because I forgot to do it. So we need to add an input. So go to project settings, add a input. It's going to be action mapping, and this is going to be the key that we use to interact with any object that implements the interface. So press the little keyboard icon, press F, and that is pretty much that done. So let's go into the event graph of the BP third person character, right click and action events interact, the one we just created earlier. Okay, sweet. So once we have this, we can actually use this. So when we press a certain key, it will fire off a line of code in another blueprint. So get our follow camera, and we're going to create a line trace. But first we need to get the world location. So get the world location, drag out again, and we're going to get world rotation. Out of this we're going to get the forward vector, and then what we need to do, we need to do some maths. So we're going to we're going to search for a line trace first, line trace by channel, and we're going to connect this up. The world location of the follow camera is going to be our start location, and then we need to add the world location and rotation forward vector together. So we're going to type add, and we're going to move this down by holding control, add them two together, and put that into the end pin. Right, okay, so I missed the multiplication bit, so we need to drag out of this, multiply. We're going to add that to there, and we're going to right click the second pin and convert it to a float. And this is going to be the length of our line trace, so I'm going to use 500. And we're going to set the debug type to duration, and the duration is going to be 5 seconds. Let's compile and save and play, and now I can preview the line trace. And as you can see, it's starting from the follow camera and going to wherever the camera is facing, but it is way too short. So I'm just going to put a random value in here of like 2000, so then you can fully see the line trace. There we go. And you can see where it's starting from. So it's starting from behind us where the follow camera is, and it's going forward by 2000 units. Okay, so as you can see, it's not actually interacting with the door. It's not telling us that it's hit anything, and that's because we don't have any collision. So it is on block all, the collision of the static mesh, but we just need to go to collision, add a box collision, and save it. Now if we play, you'll see the green line coming out of the door because we have actually hit something with collision. Okay, perfect. So we need to do the rest of the code after the line trace. So we're going to drag out of hit result, or out hit, sorry, and we're going to get a break hit result, and then drag out of hit actor and does implement interface. We're going to get BPI interact as our interface, and then what we need to do is drag out of the does implement interface and get a branch, because we need to check if it does implement the interface, or, well, if it's true or false. So let's do that, and we're going to connect these up just like that. So what we're going to do, we're just going to actually test if it is true or false, and if it's actually working, this line of code. So we're going to print a string, just going to put hello And the second one is going to be by. And I'm just going to change the colour to red. So if it's hello, it's true. If it's by, then it is false. Wait, what? Yeah, if it's true, it'll say hello. If it's false, it'll say bye. So there we go. It's still saying bye. And the reason for this is we never implemented the interface into our door, so they can't communicate to each other. So we just need to go to class settings of the BP door, add interface here on the right hand side, BPI interact, and now if we compile and play, you will see that we get a hello value, or true. So that's all working, perfect. So let's go back into our event graph. We're going to delete these print strings because we don't need it anymore, we've already tested. And out of true, we're going to get interact message. Now this fires off the line of code that is inside the BP door. And we need a target, and the target is going to be hit actor. So we're just going to plug that in, compile, and then that will work now. So if we click play, it'll fire off the interaction code. So let's go into the BP door, and we're going to double click the interact on the left hand side on the interfaces, and we're just going to test it by destroying the actor. So when we hit the actor with our line trace, it's going to destroy the door. So we're just doing little checks along the way to make sure everything's working, and I'm explaining it just like this so you can understand it a little bit better. Next, what we need to do is get a timeline, and we're going to create a timeline because we want to lerp the value so the door opens smoothly. So let's just open this up, set the length to 1, and add a float track, and this is going to be door pivot. So let's add a key, and it's going to be 0, 0 for the start, and add another key, and it's going to be 1 and 1 for the time and value. So let's set that correctly, and then right click on the key, click auto, and right click on the other key, like that, and click auto as well. This will just make it smoother in the transition. Now we're going to drag it down from play to start, or play from start, and we need to drag out of the door base, set relative rotation, and drag that and put it into the update. Okay, so we need the rotation of the door. So drag out of door pivot, and we're going to get a lerp, drag that into alpha. Now we're going to split the struct pin on the relative rotation, and the Z, yaw, is going to be the value that we change. So let's just double check this by going into the BP door, and we're going to rotate it, and if you look at the right hand side, it'll change from 0 to around 130 for me. That looks like a good value for me. So let's just type in 130 here. And do you know what, I'm just going to reset that value because we don't actually need it, it needs to be on 0. And we're going to go back into the event graph, and I'm going to change the B value to 130. So it'll go from a value of A, which is 0, into a value of 130. So if we compile and save, go back to the third person map, click play, and we test our line traces. It's all working, nothing's connecting, and because this has the interface, it will basically rotate to where we told it to. But as you can see, it's kind of glitchy as it's playing from the start every single time. So what we need to do, out of event interact, add a flip-flop, and the A is going to be play from start, the B is going to be reverse. So it'll play it from the end basically. Just do everything in reverse. So as you can see, it opens, and when we just test it again, it'll close perfectly fine. So that is how you create a fully functional working door without casting and just using line tracers. So let's just double check and test it here in between two walls, make sure nothing funky is going on, and as you can see, it works perfectly. That's going to be it for today, so thank you for watching, check out my other content, and I'll catch you next time.